This meeting is being recorded.
Start.
Shall I start, Selva?
Yes, sir, please.
Yeah. Respected Chairman, Chinnamassan Sari and the respected Speaker of the day, CA Pooja Madam, and the respected attendees of today's program on the future of financial services. Namaskaram to all of you. This is SIRC has been conducting every day a program on the enrichment of the knowledge for the members of the institute. And in that series, today we have a beautiful program, the future of financial services, which is very essential for all of us, being a supporting person to the finance. And today we have a good speaker, CA Pooja, Growers Shandilyai. And she has been in this field for over 20 years. She's been in industry and she's basically an academician. She is taught at various leading colleges, NMI, MS, HR College, Mithibai College, and NM College. And lastly, she had the position as a senior research analysis in Kotak in the institutional desk. She has been in her subject of interest is being in finance and general management. And this I think has been given by her. Very short introduction about her. Welcome, madam. Please take over the proceedings and enrich all of us. Thank you. Namaskaram.
Thank you. Namaskar. Thank you. So today's talk going to be about financial services, and we have seen finance have grown in many ways in the so from the academia perspective, if we look first, the only thing that people knew was banking. And bank giving you certain kind of services, like you're creating an FD, or you're keeping a savings account. From the savings account we move to the FD, and then from the FD we move to the we move to kind of using the locker services and certain other banking services. Now the banking services today have grown into plethora of services, namely which have been existing, and all of us study in CA, that is we've done factoring, we've done securitization, we are studying today forfeiting, factoring, and we are also studying bills of exchange. Now these are financial services, but along with this, mutual fund is also financial services. Buying insurance also is a financial service, and buying insurance online with Policy Bazaar, or going to Bank Bazaar. All of these are very, very clearly the growth of financial services. Home loans was another segment which was created and which has grown to a very great extent. So if I go back 20 years in India, we did not have so many home loans. People used to wait till the time they could earn or maybe reach their retirements to buy their home, because they had to wait till the time they had the capital. But today, with the help of car loans, home loans, credit cards, debit cards, we have seen, all these are financial services. So now innovative financial services is like to think how we can create an ease in the way people are transacting. So the one great success that we have all seen, of course, post COVID and demonetization, has been the acceptance of Paytm. Nobody thought in a country like India the Paytm usage is going to be so high, and we can see for ourselves that no other, like from every rickshaw driver, every every nook and corner, kirana shop, to every large individual, everywhere today we are scanning and paying. So this is again an innovation in financial services. Now we have to think that where else can the financial services grow, or what can be the growth of these financial services. If any of you could write in the chat box, I'll also appreciate certain amount of interaction. Uh, uh, so even if there is a question that you want to pose, or there is something that you would want to raise your, put up any questions or like any Q&As, that would kind of get more interaction into the entire system. So we have seen for ourselves that there has been any other ideas that you have for you know uh, if you have any ideas of financial services, new financial services or innovative financial services as we call them. Financial services are primarily grown, and we've seen Switzerland as a country which grew, and then we have seen Singapore as a country develop. India can develop to the next level in the banking and financial services if we are to grow ourselves. India can be the next answer to the world. And this is what we can do. We can be the back end and the hub. But it's going to be fintech. It's going to be a technology both ways, which is going to be, working. I will just start sharing my screen. I'm just sharing my screen.
Not visible now.
Yes, sir. I'll just a minute, and when I this thing, then please tell me whether you can see it or not see it, and then post that if I'm, audible or not audible.
Yes. Now it's getting shared gradually.
Okay, sir.
See the desktop now, the home page of your system. Now the presentation is getting.
Shared. Okay, sir. Just a minute.
It's getting loaded. Actually, it's taking.
Yeah, it's loading. It's loading. It's taking some time to load, sir. Yeah. Now is the screen visible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. So now, what are financial services? So these are processes whereby instruments, are products and financial services are kind of this is a process of creating new financial products, services or processes. Financial innovation has come in via advances in financial instrument technology, payment system, digital technology. All of this has helped financial services to come in. Now we are borrowing, investing, and paying for goods in a very different way, and all of this is financial services and innovation which has helped us. And which was the first thing that we can say was the kind of growth that was, credit unions. We saw, we can see here the Visa card, Motilal Oswal, ICICI Securities, HDFC Securities. We could, we could buy shares, sell shares, hold our stocks. All these demat services again are financial services. So stocks, brokerage companies, investment houses, merchant banking, startup funding, angel funding, all of this is, are parts of financial services. And we can see for ourselves today, the way we are using money is very different than how we used money. The cash form of utilization of money has reduced, and the way we are borrowing money has also changed dramatically, right? So we aren't borrowing money the way we used to kind of borrow. So the characteristics of a financial this thing is that it's information based, and there's a dominance of human element, and there's heterogeneity. Now human element, why? Because we are humans, we are using money, so we always want safety and security, right? Only if there is safety. So Paytm gives me an instantaneous record from my bank account, and the payment, and the receiver receives it, and he is assured of the fact that the money has come to his bank account. Even once if Paytm fails, you would not use its service again. So there's a human element and there's heterogeneity. So again, we can say that, in India, we establish our NSDL and CDSL, and our entire, bank, the broking industry And we can say we are having billions and millions of transactions on a daily basis, but there is no error. Because if there is an error, then the acceptance would not be there. Of course, it's a service, so it's perishable in nature. And after one transaction, the second transaction has to be of the same quality. You can't say that, okay, fine, the first transaction was, good. So that is there, and there is going to be intangibility and concomitant services of this. Now, why are they important? Because it facilitates transaction, it ensures liquidity, it's mobilizing the money. So we all know that the M3 factor is very, very important for the growth of the GDP growth of any country. If the money stays stagnant, like the way we saw it during COVID or during demonetization, if my money stays with me and it doesn't change hand, it's going to create it's going to create a lot of morbidity in the economy, and people are going to start suffering. So what is the difference between when there was complete COVID and today? So it's the point is that I'm moving out, I'm buying something, I am having my transaction, financial transaction. This is leading to the financial transaction of another person. So the economy is a flow. It's a flow of money. You can't halt it. The moment it halts, it's going to lead to tremendous pressure and fallout. So the advantage is they are going to provide you with a payment system. It's going to link savers and investors, and the government doesn't need to intervene. By itself, it's going to be a system which is going to be self-supported. It's going to help in capital formation. It will raise the standard of living and the GDP and create a lot of, you can say, employment opportunities. And there are plethora of employment opportunities awaiting to be started here in India. We can, take over Singapore. It'll help us raise our standard of living. It'll help us get in economic development and enhance the liquidity, within our country. Of course, there is risk also. Like today, every transaction is gone online. Not everybody is highly literate in our country, right? There's a risk of fraud. There's a risk of robbery. There is unsatisfactory rate of interest which is existing today. Technology has its own security issues, right? There is no guarantee of returns on online transactions, but for the ease and the convenience, we are moving towards online. There's a lack of personal contact. There's imprudence of financial practice, which could start taking place. And since it's online, people are trading, people are getting into shares, not because they think it's a long-term investment, because everyone believes they can make a buck or two out of trading. So, or like a buck or two out of mutual funds. But it's not that. But if you look in the long-term services like factoring, forfeiting, bills of exchange, they have enhanced the liquidity within the, working capital, and they've gotten solutions for individuals, solutions for institutions, and that is what is required, that you have to get a solution for what the existing problem is. Let's look at housing finance, which is one type of a financial service. You have a regular home loan which you can take. You can take a construction loan. You can take a purchase for land. You can take for an extension of a home. NRI home loans are available. You can transfer the balance of a home loan from one bank to the other today. So when we were to go back 20 years in time, home loan industry wasn't that developed. And today, every individual who starts earning within 3 years of having a record statement of filing his tax, he can start borrowing money and he can pick up a home loan. And it's giving you advantage also. It's cost effective. It's giving tax benefit. So what has basically a home loan done? It's created a market for home buyers and home sellers, okay, and people who are selling home loans. So in a way, you don't have to wait till the end of your life. It's making buying houses very easy and affordable, and we've seen the growth in the construction sector in India. It's increased the loan eligibility when a person can repay, and this improves the eligibility of the loan. We have also seen, reverse mortgages, whereby if you own a house in the later stage of your life, you can mortgage the house to the bank and you can start receiving monthly interest, payments, and you can mortgage the house to the bank and start living on it. So buying a house has become like buying or creating an asset. It's become very cost effective. The ratio or the interest rates were pretty low. They have been existing between 8%, but it went down slightly lower during just COVID, and we saw it's gone down from 8 to 12%, right? And it leads to capital appreciation, and there are compulsory ways of saving. The interest which is paid on these loans is then proves to be very beneficial, right? So it's also leading to a disadvantage. And what are the disadvantages of the financial housing finance? There's too much of property which is created. There's an opportunity cost, and we can say that today the supply is far much more than demand. It's a long-term commitment, and people are buying a home even if they require it or they don't require it. So, which is again leading to the increase in property prices. And we saw the impact of this, which kind of created the 2008 financial crisis. What are the policies of housing finance? So we had the 2007 housing policy, affordable housing for all. Then we had the national urban, rental housing policy of 2015, and then we had a housing for all in 2022. And we have the Pradhan Mantri Yojana, we had the Rajiv Gandhi Awas Yojana, and model state housing. And we're seeing different interest rates for incomes which are low income and middle income homes. Their interest rates are quite different as compared to the rest. So you have the National Housing Bank, and it is guaranteeing you loan, and it's underwriting loans, and it's leading to growth in the mutual fund and research. And so we have seen the NHB, the National Housing Bank, which is playing a big role in this, and we have seen this industry grow to the next level, which is one of the major financial services which are existing today in time. We have fair trade practices which have been set up, for housing companies. Also, so that there is KYC and there is collection dues, and so that there are no frauds. So once an industry develops, it doesn't mean that you don't, you have to monitor it also. So you create an industry, but at the same time, you have to monitor it. So, I would want, like we are saying, the government might support, or a government has started supporting the fact that we could have crypto, which is going to be backed by the government, or like we have had the gold bonds which have been coming by the government. Again, this was a growth. Like rather than buying physical gold, you could buy paper gold. Again, we saw a huge growth in this, in a country like India, where buying gold has always been like an important psychological factor. Rather than just buying physical gold, which is turning out to be very expensive now, people are still buying, government of India bonds also for gold bonds. So this is again a growth, and then there are fair trade practices which have set into all of this. So we can see these are the huge number of private sector, NBFCs, and public sector, though we've had a fallout of Diwan Housing Finance also, and but there are the others which have done very well. So we've had SBI, LIC, GIC, L&T, and in the private sector, we have Axis, we have HDFC, ICICI, and we have non-banking financial services like Shriram, Indiabulls, Muthoot, and Reliance, which are providing you home loans. So home loan finance company is another form of non-banking financial service, which is an NBFC, which is again a financial service. And it's led to the growth of the housing finance sector in India to a great extent. And there are more than 80 housing finance institutions. So you can imagine the kind of employment that we've created, the kind of market that we've created. And we've set up an entire industry which we are supporting with the help of the housing finance. Now we go to the next kind of service, which of course we all study, which is a part of our CA curriculum also, that is factoring and forfeiting. Now factoring is a fund-based service which is providing resources to companies, for receivables, and it facilitates the the collection of receivables. Factoring services in India and there are guidelines for factoring services. It's a credit risk which is there. Of course, you're going to be giving risk. The company which is going to be, or the factoring arm of the bank or the financial institution which is going to be giving you the money upfront is going to take in the credit risk, and there's going to be a duration. So you could, it's like the bill of exchange wherein you discount your receivables and you could get the money upfront, and this is going to reduce your liquidity crunch. So there is factoring and there is forfeiting. Forfeiting is discounting of international trade receivables. So in this way, we are creating a huge market for import and export, right? And there is a credit risk, and there is a country risk, and there is a currency risk which is involved when you're forfeiting. Every service has its own specialization, and it's created its own huge market, and the number of service providers, users, and people who are monitoring whether this industry is working safely or not. So here you have the factoring company, and then you have the factor agency and the company. The company gives the receivables to the factor, and the factor gives the cash upfront, as we all know. This has reduced the liquidity. You can say, there can be factoring of recourse and non-recourse. In advance and at maturity, you could get the money. There could be full factoring, and you could get, up to 80%. And there's disclosed and undisclosed factoring. These are various types of factoring services, but as we can see for ourselves, that factoring has become a major part of the various types of services which are being given. So we have with recourse and without non-recourse. So with recourse, of course, you can claim back the money from if there is a failure of the payment of the of the third party or your customer, then the bank or the factoring agent can recover the money. And non-recourse means there is no recourse, and the loss is going to be borne by the factoring arm or the factoring service provider. So you have businesses and you have the factors, and you could get up to 80% of your invoices advance. You could get full factoring services. So there's credit facility, on-time payment is received, your sales ledger account is recorded, and you can imagine factoring is required largely in a lot of other services like ticketing, booking your tickets online, and especially while we're over with credit cards. And today, everybody making a purchase on Amazon and Myntra, and most of the purchases being done by your, your credit cards, and sometimes with your debit cards also. Though the acceptability of credit card in India is very poor to debit cards, and we've seen a huge acceptance of Paytm. So that really depends again from country to country, and the psychology of the country's people, what they accept and what they don't. So you could have a disclosed and undisclosed factoring, wherein there is an invoice of the client's business and the client's services. And then you have forfeiting, which simply means that you surrender the rights and the receivables and the letters of credits and the promissory notes. And here you are doing it for the export and import. And of course, there's going to be the exporter, the importer, the bank, which is going to be there, it's going to be giving you the guarantee, and the Exim Bank, which is involved. So again, this has facilitated the growth of the export industry, or the import and export industry, which have not been possible without the growth of factoring. The exporter zero downs on a forfeiter. The achievement or the agreement is made between the exporter and importer. The importer, secures a guarantee from the local bank. The shipment of the goods are sent. The exporter submits the documents to the forfeiter. The forfeiter pays to the exporter and obtains complete control. At maturity, the documents are presented to the importer's bank. The bank collects the payment from the importer, and the payment is received by the bank. So in this way, we can see for ourselves that the exporter will get the payment much prior to the shipment period, and this will create a cash liquidity for him. So we've seen the ease what factoring has done. We've seen the ease what housing finance has done. Of course, mutual fund, UPI, brokerage, They have also done a lot of other things other than the pure banking services that we were used to. We come next to the bills of exchange, which has been age-long, product which was existing, and today it has been modified. Okay, but yet it is existing. So they are used in international trade also. And a bill of exchange is binding agreement by one party to pay a fixed amount of cash to another party as of a predetermined date or on demand, and bills of exchange are primarily used in international trade. So here we can see the bills of exchange. So you have a drawer and a drawee, and at times there's an acceptance of a bill given, and on maturity date the drawee makes a payment. Sometimes they are just built for convenience also. So this is something that we've always done in our commerce and our accounts classes, right? So this product has been always existent. So this endorsement of the bill, there can be a dishonor of the bill, noting and exchange of bills can be done. You can retire a bill earlier to its date. You can renew the bill, or the bill can be sent to the bank for collection. These are the important terms of the bills of exchange. We can see the advantages and disadvantages also. So in discounting, there is no need to incur debt. It improves cash flow, and it gets in a help to sell goods on credit, access funds easily. There's a reduced profit margin. All bills cannot be discounted. Not available to a new business. It reduces the availability of the collateral and promissory notes, which are used in home, reading and other this thing. Any doubts? Any questions so far? Anything in the chats that I have seen?
No question as of now. We will continue with the session, and if there is any, they will.
Okay. Any questions, please, from the audience? Please put in the chat box. Because I will be sharing now 2 or 3 case studies. All right, I'll share the screen again, and we'll start with the case study. So we have got 3 cases today. So we go to our next case study. I hope I'm audible to everybody, and the screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
So our case study is on Paytm. So we can see that we'll understand and explain how the brand went to a mere recharge app, where you could just recharge and your phones or whatever with the help of this, to hosting a lot of every kind of Paytm. And nobody thought that in a country like India, where credit card did not get acceptance, Paytm would get acceptance. It'll also, the difficulties which Paytm had and the increasing competition which is there due to Google Pay and WhatsApp also, which is starting a payment gateway. It was started by Vijay Shekharan Sharma as a recharge platform in 2010. 197 Communication Limited, and it became the most successful mobile payment and money transfer apps in India. And it had 90% of the monetary transactions, which were made prior to demonetization. But after monetization, it was difficult for Paytm to make customers believe in digital money initially. So as we have always seen that it was Yahoo that came in with its Hotmail, which came in with its first mail. It was followed by Yahoo. But it was finally, Gmail which conquered, or, Google which conquered the entire market. And Google was going to be acquired by Yahoo at a given point in time, but Yahoo just refused. And they found the bid to be very high. And finally, in the end, Yahoo was acquired by Google. So, this is one of those histories where we can see that, even in financial services, we could see, a lot of services which will come up, will stabilize or not stabilize and die out. But we have to be ready for this kind of a market, which is going to be increasingly competitive in nature. So in a country which has 90% or 95% of its transactions made in cash prior to demonetization, it was difficult for anyone to believe that Paytm is going to be accepted. But the Paytm did the drill, and they tapped the unserved and the underserved lots of India also, like our rickshaw drivers, our Ola taxi drivers. Everyone is having the belief and the faith, and you can see the belief and the faith is being set up by the fact, by the first slide which I showed everybody, is that for a financial service to be accepted, it has to have these characteristics, that it is to be, it is perishable in nature, but at the same time, it should mobilize, and it should be getting in the belief that people would be willing to accept it. You cannot, every time you'll have to give the same service, and there's going to be a dominance of human element, which Paytm knew that they're not just dealing with money, they're also dealing with humans. This is something that we cannot forget when we're dealing with any financial service. And it's a fact that yet India is one of the largest gold buyers in the world. We are one of the largest property buyers in the world, but we are still not investing in mutual funds and in any other financial services. Our insurance market is yet to go. Our mediclaim market is yet to grow. So we are just at the brink of it. You can imagine, as we are moving towards the tertiary sector, and today with India being the 5th largest economy, there is a huge potential growth in all the financial services. However, the picture seems to be changing, and after players like Google Pay and Phone Pay came in, the brand started to lose the race. Okay, and then WhatsApp payment also came in the month of June 2020. And let's understand the journey of this company and understand their position today. So Paytm was always focused on a customer-centric approach. It's evident from the fact that even before Paytm started with the wallet services, the company had built a 24/7 customer care. It understood that digital payments were still new in India, so they had to ensure that the customer will get all the right support. And this involved a lot of queries to be solved and trust. And they spent nearly 14,500 crores to convince Indians to substitute cash with digital payments. Can you imagine? And clearly understand how Paytm would have been a pivotal role for our Honorable Prime Minister's Digital India dream. And it did happen. It did happen. We've seen it happen. We've seen it happen in the last 3.5, 4 years. In 2014, the company did more launch of the wallets. And without entering the OTP again and again, you could just transfer the money, which was safe. And if it was in the wallet, you didn't have to get connected to your bank account, and your bank account details were not shared with everybody. And then demonetization was a great opportunity for Paytm. We saw for ourselves. And they continued with it, and those ATM hours were long, and people were not getting those money from the ATM, and people started moving away from cash, handling cash, trying to remember whether you got the money or you not got the money. You're having the transaction link with you. Demonetization also spelled a doom for most of us, and it was a fortune for Paytm. And our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, had the vision for the digital India, and the government could track now the payment. And this has now helped India to grow to the next level. We can see for ourselves the moment transactions are listed, how everything is going to change. Any inputs from everybody on the case study? Any inputs on the case study? Any inputs on ATM? Thank you. Now we go to the next success story of India. Yeah, sure, I will share the. I will surely share the PPT. So now we go to, or we'll move to the next case study. Which is another, huge success. And that is going to be.
When you're typing it out, you can choose option to everyone because it's sharing only to host and panelists, not to everyone. Message. So you can choose options everyone.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I was not aware of that. Okay. Is the screen visible now? Is the screen PPT visible now?
Yes. Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Audible.
Okay, thank you. So Policy Bazaar, again, another case which you can see the history and the valuation and the growth. And this was again founded in 2008 by Ashish Dayal, Ashok Bansal, and Avnish Nirjar. And it was providing, a platform, a website, and an app where people could compare financial services and insurances. Because Indians had this thing before they would invest, can they get a better discount? And it started out from Gurgaon, Haryana, and now today is India's largest insurance aggregator. And the group has expanded operations to UAE, Emirates. So in 2008, the focus was on the insurance sector, but today we have Bank Bazaar also, so that you can get the best banking rates or loan rates that you can get. CIBIL has grown. That's again a service. Please just understand that you just imagine the potential of financial services. At the time, Indian insurance industry was still lacking transparency, and most policies were sold through agents who were a lot of commission. Policy Bazaar changed it by listing the details of multiple insurance policies. And the portal gave you information about insurance program, and the aim was to provide Indian insurance buyers an online platform to compare, getting in complete visibility and transferability, transparency. And it was launched in multiple languages also to buy, policies in their native language. The company claims to process nearly 25% of India's life insurance policies and 7% of the health cover, which is only growing. In 2015, they launched its app for Android and iOS users, which is available, like, you can download it as an app today. And the platform is designed to make comparing buying insurance policies very, very easy, right? And this has led to, like, the Policy Bazaar has also been adopted by Amazon and Poly, and it's developed an in-house chat box to improve customer satisfaction. And we can see that the company has grown leaps and bounds. So the valuation is 1.5 billion, as of 2018, 2019. And its turnover has increased post, and we can imagine if we were to actually look at it after 2020 and 2022 today, it was earning a revenue of 10,000 crores by the fiscal year 2020. It's going to be getting the next round of funding of 150 million, and the valuation is standing at 1 billion. So we're seeing the valuation of Paytm being 1.5 billion, valuation of Policy Bazaar, being at 1 billion. So you can imagine the growth that all these financial services sector has created, right? The new age sector is where all the money or all the growth is. And if you can just get in an ease in the way people are using finance or the money, that is what is going to get the great level of growth. Any questions, any queries so far before we go on to our next case study? Yes, class. Yes, everyone.
Any question from audience? They can unmute and post the same, or else put it in chat. If not, so we can go with the next case study.
So I'll now just share the screen and we'll go to the last case study of the day. But before I start the last case study, maybe, as the session has moved and there's not been a lot of questions as I was expecting them to flow in, we could speak about more financial services. There are quite a few more financial services which are existent, and there's securitization. So we come to Zerodha. It's one of the largest, in the last 1.5 years, or like last, after 2019, we've seen that the Indian depositors, they have registered, 1.51 crore new investors jumped into the market after COVID. And capital markets are becoming very attractive. And the free educational platforms and trading apps which are available to people, which are simple and user friendly, the fear of trading and investing has gone out of people. And this is what, Zerodha did, which was founded by Nitin and Nitil Kamal. And it's an online brokerage company, which is having dynamics of the retail stock market of India, which is having more than 18.33% total active Indian clients. So you can imagine, after coming in and being in such a late entrant, they have taken in from ICICI Securities, HDFC, ICICI, Motilal Oswal. As compared to all of them, they still have a market share of almost 20 to 25%. So again, another financial service which has grown, or which has seen a major growth. Yes, class. Any inputs? Okay, we'll start off our presentation on hire purchase and leasing. And then we look into how the hire purchase and the leasing market has grown. It has also fueled the growth of sales of the, like the two-wheelers, the four-wheelers. Right? So the two wheels and the four-wheeler vehicles. All right. Is the screen visible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So we're going to go to a hire purchase, and it's like when and why it was introduced, and what are the forms of hire purchase. So hire purchase is an agreement for buying an expensive consumer good, where again consumer loans and consumer goods have like kind of picked up to a very great growth. It's an arrangement for buying expensive consumer goods where the buyer makes initial down payment and pays the balance, in installments. And some of them are expensive consumer goods like bikes, mobile phones, laptops, TV sets, expensive assets which you want to be buying. So in hire purchase, there are two parties, the buyer and the seller, and there's a mutual agreement between both the parties, and the initial amount of down payment is paid. And the remaining amount is to be paid in equal installment. But the major feature about hire purchase is that you cannot own the asset till the point in time, you pay the last installment. Okay, till you've not paid the last installment, the asset belongs to the company, the hire purchaser. So the remaining amount is going to be paid in equal installment, which is the principal plus the interest. And once the final installment is made, you have the ownership. The hire purchase amount includes the principal and interest amount, and interest is charged upon the remaining amount, and the repossession and any default from the buyer would also be claimed. You can access newer, higher specification cars. You can spread the cost over the fixed term. The rate of interest is fixed and you will own the car at the end of the agreement. The option to pay the loan, of earlier is available, and there are fewer restrictions. So you can have an access to new cars or new expensive products, and you can buy them and pay the EMIs, and the interest rate is fixed. And you will own it only at the end of the agreement after you pay the last installment, right? You can even pay off the loan earlier. So the disadvantages are that you purchase an unnecessary good at time because you're going to be loading yourself. But yet, this is what has led to the growth of four-wheelers in India, right? The whole purchase or the whole market, whether it's Tata Finance, whether it's Bajaj Finance, the initial reason why even Bajaj Financial Services picked up or has grown to the success that it has grown in the stock markets today was that they were providing finance for their own, two-wheelers and their three-wheelers and their autos. And of course, they grew as services much later, and we've seen to the level that they've grown. And they would cost otherwise far less. And there are fewer discounts which are available. So there's an agreement and you get the possession of the goods. You make the payment, then the ownership of the goods gets, you get the ownership of the good, but they're not transferred to you. They still remain back to the Citibank or anyone whom you've taken the loan from. And each installment is treated as a hire purchase charge. And you have an option to return the goods in case they don't meet up with the kind of quality. And if you default in the payment, then you're going to be charged a penalty. And then even if you default in the payment, then you'll have to surrender the hire purchase. So there's a default, and there could be a partial repossession that you could get, or you could get a complete repossession. If you default, you'll have to pay the extra amount and the your penalty on it. Okay. So let's look at this. Suppose Mr. Ghosh had approached a vendor with an air conditioner and he wanted to purchase the air conditioner, which is worth 5 lakhs. It's an AC, centralized AC connection, and you don't have the initial 5 lakhs. So you enter into an agreement with the vendor and you will pay 1 lakh, and then the remaining 4 lakhs you'll be paid by, say, equal monthly installment of 80K or with 10% interest per annum. And the terms and conditions include the ownership of the asset will be transferred only after the payment of the last installment. So today, whenever you're going to, say, Vijay Sales or anyone and buying a washing machine, a fridge, or a TV, or an air conditioner, please remember these are all examples of hire purchase. These are all examples of hire purchase. And the delivery of goods will be given to you. So what we did in our whole session today was that we saw the existing services, we saw the new age services, all right, and we can also see for ourselves, services which can grow, right? Services which can grow. Yes, class. Any inputs? Any questions? I shall appreciate them. I'll wait for 3 to 5 minutes for your questions to pour in.
Yes, ma'am. Are we done with the presentation, ma'am?
Yeah, almost done. So now it's Q&A and the house is open for questions. So
okay, I have unmuted everyone, ma'am. So if at all any question they can post, and we'll share the presentation. If at all the question comes in after the session is completed, we'll share it to you, and time permits you can respond. Natarajan sir, you unmuted yourself. You can post your question.
No questions, no queries from any of the participants. We have 31 participants today. I should appreciate
Platform,
that
we
this-
have close to 85 registrations. We have 55 turned up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So since it is a new platform under DLH, many are finding it difficult to log in and register and also launch program. It's just a new phase. Maybe in future it might be.
We shall wait for, sir. We wait for
Yes,
another
ma'am,
3
we'll
to
wait
5
for another
minutes in
two,
case there are
two
any
to 3
questions.
minutes and we'll wait, ma'am. If there is no questions, then we'll find out. Thank you.
Okay, sir. We'll wait for another 2 to 3 minutes, sir. I'll wait here. Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Okay, so we got one question from the audience: is what's going to be the shaping up of financial products and services in the future? So what's going to be the future? So I would want you all to discuss now. See, this is a very open question. Why? Because of the fact that we have to look into the thing that uh, you know India is growing as a country, okay, and we are seeing the world grow as in a very big way. And as the world is growing, we are seeing the fact that there are new requirements every single day, right? So whenever we are seeing that there are new requirements every single day, we can say for the fact that okay, uh, we are going to be seeing the growth of the country and these services. So where will these services come in? Where else would be the ease? Where else will be the ease? We can see foreign denominations come in. Will there be foreign denominations which can come in? That's one area where we could see, the growth coming in, foreign denominations. So investing easily in foreign countries, which has already started, but with great ease being able to invest in dollars or being able to convert your currency from dollars to any other currency that's going to be another thing which is going to lead to a lot of growth. Yes or no? Yes, class. I shall appreciate if you have any other inputs. Foreign currency denomination, financial services, investments, growth in various types of investments, ease in purchase, of consumer goods, ease in payments, and transfer of payments. Right? So we could see a growth over there. We could see a growth that we are providing to the corporate sector, like Singapore is. Corporate sector and Singapore is becoming, like, we can try becoming like the next, the tax haven for the rest of the world, managing the accounts or the company accounts for the world, wherein our transactions are at much greater ease and we can help people with various, financial nomenclatures across the world, ease in transfer and conversion of currencies. Right? So we just saw the success of 3 or 4, but I think mutual fund purchase has not yet grown to a very great extent. If we could create a platform like a Zerodha or any other where we are trading in mutual funds, is not that, but the level of growth in mutual funds is not taken, to that great extent. And ease in savings, savings, wherein we can ask the marginal savers to come in, like, having a Paytm wallet through which you can save on a daily basis, like a wallet through which you can save on a daily basis. Now, this is to, get in the whole of India. I'm not talking about the HNIs. The HNIs are getting all their services from their banks. Okay. Greater involvement of RBI, greater involvement of regulatory bodies, a huge growth of regulatory bodies. And their arms. So, of course, now today SEBI is doing everything. SEBI is managing, mutual fund, equity, derivatives market, everything, So we cannot have just like one Competition Commission of India managing everything, right? You cannot have that, or RBI looking into major things. We are going to be having a proliferation of all of this, and we are going to be having every industry, regulations to be set up for every industry. Management of bankruptcies, or having complete, transparency of investments in, like, say, angel investing, or funding your startups. Again, we will have to have more transparency and rules and regulations to come up in it. All these gray areas have to grow. So I spoke about industries where we have, overcome the gray areas, like hire purchase, leasing, your home loans, and all of these financial services, even stockbroking, we have overcome it. But these are the areas where our gray areas are still not out. That's, you know, investing, angel investing, venture capital investing, you know, getting in ease in investment and savings for everybody. This is where I think the growth will be. I hope I have answered your question, sir. Mr. Arun Balaji. Any other inputs from the audience? Where does the audience see the growth of, you know, going? Where does the audience see the growth of the financial services going? So we've seen a fallout of the chit fund industry largely in our country. That's all from my side, sir. Anything else from the audience, or should we then close the day, sir?
Yeah, understood. There's no more question. We'll wind up for the day. So can we have a small sum? Yes, please. Maybe we'll have a small summary of the session. You can
Yeah. So I'll just my screen and
summarize
I'll give
for 5 minutes or so. We'll summarize and
Yes.
we'll wind up.
Yes, sir. So I'll just summarize and we'll wind up. So one second, I'll just be sharing the screen again. So my first screen has always been that innovation in financial services has been the digitalization. Okay, but there's one thing that we have to do is how we save, how we borrow, how we invest, and how we pay for goods. We are basically doing only 4 things. We are basically doing only 4 things. We are saving, we are investing, we are borrowing, and we are paying for goods. Only the way we are doing this has changed. I am still buying grocery. My grandmother also bought it and my mother also bought it. The only way that has changed is that today Amazon is delivering it to my house, or maybe people are delivering it to my house. But this is what we've been doing. So the human need and the human psychology remains the same. Why Paytm has been accepted? Why no other services got, you know, the pickup? Why credit cards never picked up where they were launched almost 20 years back in India? This is because that there is a human element to these financial services. And, you know, credit unions, banks, credit companies, accountancy companies, consumer finance companies, stock brokerage, investment funds, merchant bankers are all a part of our financial services. And this is an ever growing industry. It's going to be information based. It's going to be a dominance of human element, that there has to be safety, and delivery has to be, you know, matching what you promise. It's going to be perishable in nature because it's a service, and it's going to be intangible in nature. You're going to be facilitating transaction with liquidity, and you're going to mobilize savings, allocate capital funds, generate employment, and lead to economic growth. So financial services is going to be the next booster for the Indian economy. If we really want to grow, and just because of our population not be at, you know, the 5th position, our per capita income is still much lower than that of China and any other country also. We have to, you know, promote financial services. It will help us in capital formation, it'll link savers and investors and lead to the growth. It'll promote raising standards of living and enhance liquidity. And the disadvantages are there are going to be risk and fraud, and we have to definitely look into this part of the technology, and there has to be a personal contact, prudent financial practices, and additional charges such as bank fees, etc., can be raised. We'll end with the 3 glorious success stories in India. One is Paytm, Policy Bazaar, and Zerodha, where we have seen that the growth of India in financial services has been so tremendous. Paytm, we can say, has increased the number of transactions. Where 95% of transactions were made in cash, Paytm has changed the way people are making payments today. They spent initially 14,500 crores, but we can say that they've grabbed the market now, which they're again competing with. Policy Bazaar is again valued at around 1.5 billion, and it's having around, earning a revenue of 10,000 crores. So you can imagine that earning a revenue of 10,000 crores. It's an aggregator which is doing business of 1.5 billion, US dollars. And Zerodha again has had a 1.151 crore new investors. 18% of the total active clients today are with Zerodha. This is again a great success story. I thank the audience.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so
Hello?
much. Yes, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes.
So
Yes, sir.
we are
Yes, sir.
done with the presentation, and we will be sharing the presentation with us, so the same can be shared with the audience
Yes,
under the
yes,
same
sir.
login dashboard, so they can download it in 2 or 3 days time, along with the recording also, which will be updated to the audience. And if there is any question from audience, if it is given to us, we'll be sharing it, ma'am, and if time permits. And thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for the time spent here on knowledge dissemination. On behalf of SIRC, Chairman, Secretary, and the office bearers in their absence, we thank you so much for the time spent here, ma'am. We look forward to have you for a physical session or a virtual session in time permits on different topic or session. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me and giving me this opportunity.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.